Hey, this is gonna be my first video on this new channel called Gladiator in Scrubs. So I guess I should speak about my journey to becoming a nurse here in Canada. So I migrated to Canada from Jamaica in 2010. So June 2nd, 2010, landed in Canada. So this year will make 10 years, a decade, since I've been in Canada. And just before leaving Jamaica, I was in the 10th grade and I was looking to go on to 11th grade. So I think I was just finishing up 10th grade, something like that. But when I came to Canada, I thought it was a wise thing to do to just, start from scratch and learn the whole education system here because it's not the same, it's very much not the same as it is back home. So instead of going from 10th grade, I decided to just go from ninth grade here in Canada. And I sort of fast tracked a little bit through the ninth grade, but I wanted to not jump ahead despite counselors' um, intentions to push me on back into the 10th grade, whatever the case is. I just wanted to get the whole feel of the education system. I just think I thought at the time it was a very good thing to do. So, and I have no regrets about that. I am happy that I went that way because I feel like you just develop a more broad knowledge and idea about how the system is. Jumping into 10th grade, then 11th grade, and 12th grade, it's harder to figure out what you want from this country, well, one from yourself in this country, and so forth. And I think going from ninth grade gave me the basic fundamentals of figuring that out. Um, back home during school, I certainly was somebody who was striving to get to the top, and I was just near getting to the top. I could remember. So back home, what they do in school, you have like a grade system through the grades. So it starts from seventh grade for um, high school back home, actually. Where here it starts from ninth grade, so it's a whole different thing. And they rank you from one to, I believe it was to 10 in terms of grade level. And I have to say, in middle school, I was not somebody who thought school was something that's gonna have a big impact on life. I certainly did not understand the importance of school. I didn't think that I made the best of school during middle school. So, going to high school, that definitely did impact what I landed in terms of grade level. So, from 1 to 10, so 1 being the best grade you can be in, so first place essentially, to the 10th. So it ranks like grade 7-1, 7-2, 7-3, up to 10. And I remember quite frankly, I was in 7-7. So that was like seventh place away from being the best grade. So, I certainly didn't settle with that, knowing that I could have certainly done better, especially learning that school was going to be something that is going to affect the rest of your life. You learn, you live and you learn. And so, one of the things that I'm grateful for is the fact that I had a good, strong head on my body to say that I'm going to pull my socks up. And so, I worked my way. I think grade 8, I can't even remember, but I remember grade 9, I was in 9-5. So I notched myself 2 blocks down or up, you could say. Grade 10, big strive. I went to 10-2, and I was going to make it. I am very sure I was going to make it by the time before I left. If I had went into grade 11, I would have been in 11-1. So just before I finished school. So I think back home, if I can remember correctly, at the time I was there, I think it went from grade 7 to 11. Here it's like 9 to 12. So some difference there. But anyways, the moral of the story is that I worked my way and I almost made it to the first place. And Second place was certainly not bad at all coming here. So coming here, definitely I kept that same sort of motivation, same sort of work ethic. And I certainly worked my way through high school here in Canada, and I certainly did very well. I would say learned a lot. I think the two systems. If we could speak more, maybe in another video about the different type of system here in Canada and back home. But I think here I certainly have developed differently and in a more positive way. I would say. I think I learned more about myself. I learned more about knowledge. I learned more about how to learn. I guess. Anyhow, high school here I did certainly well. So how did I make it into nursing? Why did I choose nursing? Quite frankly, nursing was never something that was on my radar. When I came here in Canada from Jamaica, I was actually looking into computer sciences as my subject to look into. And when I came here, that changed. And I think it was a good thing because, to be honest, I'm not a computer whiz. I'm not somebody who even had a computer when I was back home. So it was not something that was definitely going to work well with my skill level. I'm sure you could always develop because nobody ever borns with a skill, but some people just have that innate thing where they are just better at certain things. I never had a computer, I never could afford it, so therefore, I don't think that would have been the best avenue to take. But I must say this that I came here, I still had that in mind a little bit, but that quickly changed and I thought about business, which I also had in mind back home as well. And business changed as well because here I realize, not that you can't ever start a business if you're an immigrant coming, but it's just much harder to do. I don't have inheritance. I don't have other things to give me that boost. And not to demote or discourage anybody to go in business who immigrate or migrates to Canada or whatever, or to any country. Just do what your heart feels like. But I just felt like it was just not gonna be sensible. So the other type of career that I had in mind was teaching, becoming a teacher, and I was just like looking into different career paths, and I must say that I narrowed myself down to nursing with an intention to become a doctor. But when I look into doctor, I see the amount of years, the amount of money that I certainly didn't have, my family didn't have, that it would take, and not that you can't get loans from the government and so forth, which you have to pay back the majority of it. But I just think it was too much for myself and everybody included at the time. It's just too much of a strain. And nursing would be 4 years, still get your foot through the door in the medical field and so forth. And in high school, I threw myself in some proper subjects that would help me see the path. So I was in this program. It was called Schism. It stood for a special high skill major, and basically it was just a program that helped students to be able to get like trips to go into hospitals and so forth, just to be able to see the feel and see some things that happened. I also joined co-op in high school. Can you imagine? My high school had that, which was great. Um, and the co-op definitely helped me tremendously. It placed me in a healthcare facility, and I was working with elderly essentially, but I was in the recreational section. But I did get to see what nurses do and so forth, and I thought, yeah, I could do this. And the interpersonal relationship and humanistic nature of this career seemed like something that is certainly it would have been uh, great honor to do, and being able to help people be able to smile, people able to make make through all the hardship that they're going through, and if you're somebody who can help them through that, I just saw that as something grateful. So I think it's a career with a lot of gratitude, and I can't even find the right word right now, but so that helped me to choose nursing. And in my high school again, we had a healthcare class, which was tremendous. It helped me to see some of the things that I would be expected of as a nurse, and I learned a lot in my high school healthcare class, and it was actually reflected in my first year of nursing in college. So anyhow, I made it through. I had good average of around 80% overall, given some things were higher, some things were lower. I did well in my sciences, English and so forth. And English was another story. If you need another story time, I had to make it through English because I still think it's the toughest subject that anybody can do. So to do nursing, you definitely need to do biology, you need chemistry or physics. I did both, and you need a math level that is either data management, advanced function, or calculus. I didn't do data management because that was actually the bare minimum. Advanced function was a step above, and even though I did advanced function, I didn't need to do calculus because it calculus I saw it as a challenge. I still took calculus, and I'm still happy that I took calculus. Calculus was cool. So made it into nursing school, and nursing school was another journey that I should say for another day, probably, because this video is going to be quite long. If you want to hear my story of how nursing school was, just like this video, comment down below, let me know how it goes, or let me know what you want to hear, I should say. So story that I could speak about is comparing Jamaican schooling system and Canadian schooling system, how that was, the differences, the similarities, whatnot, and the journey through nursing school to now being a professional nurse. Just let me know. Peace.